What ancient ritual ensures the Striga's curse never ends? A cycle of blood and sin, buried beneath the first shift of the conjunction. Striga among them, death their return is no whispers a accident pa. Death their return is no whispers a accident packed into the earth, feeding shadows that hunger for rebirth. Sin carves the ritual's path, blood seals its vow. The first shift did not create the Striga, it unlocked a door. What if the curse thrives because we keep answering its call? Each outbreak whispers of a right older than kings. The first shift did not sever the bond, it bound it deeper. What if every Striga born is a toll for sins unpaid? Witchers hunt, courts rule, yet the cycle gnaws. The conjunction's gift was not monsters, but a debt. We feed the curse with every blade, every law. The Striga does not rise by chance, it rises because we let it. A shadow of the first sin, it waits. And we, in our hubris, keep the door ajar. The first shift did not end, its echoes whisper in every moonlit grave. A ritual older than kingdoms binds the Striga's curse to the land. They do not rise by accident. Kingdoms they binds the rise because a line was drawn in Striga's blood, and someone always re-accident crosses it. A family's sin becomes a child's breath. A child's breath becomes a predator's sigh. The cycle gnaws on the bones of the continent, no incantation, no sigil. A silent pact whispered in the wake of the conjunction, when the spheres still bled into one another. The Striga waits where the living forget, it feeds where the dead are named. What is buried stirs. What is remembered bleeds. The continent was not cursed, it was chosen. A stage for a debt no mortal hand can pay, and so the Striga walks, not because the spheres collided, but because we keep the ritual alive. One family, one sin, one child, the cycle turns. The ritual was never in the stars. The first shift birthed monsters, yes, but also the hunger to create more. When Foltest begged Geralt to break Ada's curse, he did not mention the sister had lain within the dark. He did not name the child born of that union. Daughter, pause, the word hangs like a blade. Ada was both sister and child, wife and kin. The sin was not a mistake, it was a seed, a pact. The curse took root in blood, not blood magic. Generations later, the Striga's howl echoes through villages. Not a relic of the spheres, a relic of the flesh. The ritual, it is the sin repeated. The brother who cannot look away, the sister who cannot refuse, the child who becomes the curse. Geralt's cut through lies but not the truth. The truth is a loop, Foltest's guilt, Ada's hunger, the villagers' screams. A cycle, no celestial alignment needed. Only human hands, only human failure. The Striga does not return because the world is broken, because we keep it whole. The trial of the grasses was never a gift, it was a noose woven from thorn and time. 7 herbs, 7 vials, 7 deaths. The alchemists of Kaer Morhen boiled their secrets into a formula that could not be unmade. When the Nilfgaardian hammers shattered the mountain, when the last elixir recipes were burned in the pyres of Vizima, witchers became permanent scars on the world. No second chances, no mercy. The survivors of the trial did not rise as heroes, they rose as prisoners. Their blood carried the weight of 1,000 failed experiments. Their bones hummed with the screams of those who had melted in the crucible. A villain farmer once told a scribe, they call them monster slayers, but their hands reek of the same rot as the beasts. The Striga curse does not bloom from divine wrath or cosmic misalignment. It blooms because the balance was never balance. Every witcher born after the fall of Kaer Morhen is a thread in the same noose. Their mutations are not victories. They are debts. The trial's 70% death toll is not a statistic, it is a confession. For every Dijkstra who survives, 7 Vesher burn in the flames. For every Lambert who wields signs, 7 nameless bodies are dumped into the Vistula, their faces frozen in silent questions. The ritual's loss made witchers irrevocable. Their bloodlines became time capsules for the sins of the first trials. A child born to a witcher's line inherits not just mutations, but the guilt of those who died to forge their mother's sword. Is this justice or just arithmetic? The Tau Saint villagers who watched the beast of Beauclair tear through a wedding party did not ask the question. They only saw yellow eyes and claws. They did not see the alchemy behind the monster, the same alchemy that turned men into monsters, over and over, with no end. The cycle is not sacred, it is bureaucratic. A ledger of failures passed hand to hand until the ink bleeds into the blood. The Striga returns not because the world is cursed, because the world is complete asterisk. Every grave at Kaer Morhen whispers the truth. Some sins cannot be undone, only repeated. The blood does not forget, it remembers in pulses, in echoes through veined stone and starlit marrow. Ciri walks where others fracture odorless, windowless carrying Lara Dorn's secret like a seed in a storm. The wild hunt see her. They always have, for they too are echoes, hunters of a hunt that never ends. What ritual bound the first shift to this cycle? Not spelled in tombs of Nilfgaard, but in the sinews of those who survived. The Striga do not rise by chance. They rise by dead oldest, a covenant written in the same ink that stains the conjunction's pages. When Foltest's daughter screamed in the snow, it was not an accident, it was an answer. The Yennefer blood is both key and chain. It vaults dimensions, yes, but also vaults time asterisk. Ciri's steps trace paths older than the world's first wound. She is not escaping, she is returning. Every Striga's hunger is a thread in the same tapestry, a pattern woven by those who thought they could bury the past. What if the curse is not a flaw? What if it is a signature asterisk? The conjunction did not merely fracture realms. It forged a snare for those who believed blood could be cleansed. The ritualists of the first shift knew this. They bound their descendants to the cycle, ensuring the sin would outlast the sinner, and so the Striga rise, again. Again, not because the world is broken, but because it is whole asterisk. The same blood that grants Ciri her gift stains the hands of those who came before. Their sins are not echoes. They are grants Ciri her gift stay. The world does not repeat. It sins are not echoes, remembers . The bloody baron's curse defies lineage. His murders, his betrayals, these are not inherited, and yet. Foltest's hands stain the same shade of crimson. If the ritual forged this chain, why does it bend to will? Geralt's bond with Yennefer, sealed not by blood but by a wish, a djinn's price, a sorcerer's hubris. Are we prisoners of the sin of Foltest and his sister Ada did not end with her transformation. It pooled in the earth where their blood mingled, seeping into roots, into the marrow of the trial of the grasses. Geralt's silver sword severed the curse but not the pattern. The Yennefer blood, a relic of Lara Dorn's defiance, carried its own weight. Pavetta's veins did not merely inherit magic, they carried a key to doors best left sealed. Ciri, marked by both, became a fulcrum where dimensions bled. Rituals outlived their architects. The first shift's echoes are not mere myth, they are the unseen hands that twist fate. When a sorcerer chants to bind a spirit, when a witcher signs his name in blood, when a king lies with his sister, they unknowingly pluck the same frayed string. The Striga's return is not accident. Each death, each curse, each act of desperation becomes a glyph in an incantation older than the spheres. The trial's grasses still whisper. They remember the scent of Ada's sweat and Foltest's regret, the iron tang of kinship spilled. They remember Geralt's blade, Yennefer's spells, the hollow-eyed children who rise again. The cycle is not a loop, but a spiral, each layer a shadow of the last, darker, tighter. To break it would require more than silver or sorcery. It would require forgetting the very hunger that drives men to sin, to power, to love, and yet the grasses grow. And yet the children scream, the tapestry frays at the edges, but the pattern remains. The pattern remains, a thread of shadow woven through bone and blood. The first shift did not merely open the gates, it bound the continent to a right older than kings. What is a curse if not a contract? What is a ritual if not a mirror? The Striga do not rise by chance, they rise by debt. A debt paid in screams, in lineage, in the hollowed hearts of those who dare call this land home . The wild hunt gallops not as conquerors, but as custodians of the rot. Their sorcerers who name spectral themselves steeds stewards of trace, the same balance have long circles drawn, by turn their elven eyes from the truth hands when the spheres collided. Sorcerers who name themselves stewards of balance have long turned their eyes from the truth. The monsters are not invaders. They are the arithmetic, the reckoning. The Witcher archive, once a vault of solutions, now hoards riddles. Every silver blade that splits a Striga's spine only spills more ink on an ancient ledger. Every ritual that seals a grave writes a new verse in the cycle. The conjunction's gift was not chaos, it was a loop, a prison with no walls, no exits, only echoes. What good are cures when the disease is the foundation, when the poison is the soil? The continent breathes in cycles because it was born in them. The Striga are not the end of the pattern. They are its heartbeat, and we are all in the end bound to the rhythm. The wild hunt rides not as chaos, but as reckoning. Its elven bones carry the weight of a world turned upside down. What if the Striga's return is no accident, but a shadow of that same inversion blood spilled in one age, sin echoed in the next? A ritual older than the conjunction, etched in the marrow of the first folk. They did not curse the Striga. They bound it to a loop, a debt paid in generations. The Witcher's silver cuts flesh, but what breaks the pattern? The wild hunt's howl is a hymn, not a storm. Are we counting the beats of another's clock? Let the comments bleed your theories. The cycle turns. What does it feed on? The cycle hungers, not for blood, but for the sin that drips after. Every shadowed pact leaves a mark. What ancient rite stitches curse to the earth? Turn the page. The lesson